Well, God bless you. Last Sunday I taught on presenting ourselves, offering ourselves to Jesus Christ, our ordinary lives, our common lives, and let Him take them, bless them, open them up, and be able to distribute our lives to others in an effort to really be like Him, because that's what He went. He went around serving others, and we're participating now in His salvation for all people. And to do that, it says in Romans 12 that we are to present our bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is our reasonable service. And it goes on to say that do not be conformed to this world. And one of the things that I think is really important in not being conformed to the world is understanding what is really going on. What are we part of here? And in a sense, understanding history. And I talked about this a little bit last Sunday, but I think I wanted to kind of unpack it a little further, that His story or history is really what this is all about. It is so easy for us to be captivated by the affairs of humans. I'm a total history buff. I love history. One of my favorite novelists is James Michener, because if you read a book like he wrote about, say, Colorado, called Centennial, he starts with the formation of the earth, and then he moves through the entire history of everything from that up until, the centennial of Colorado. I love that vast, sweeping view of things, even as seen through the typical lens that we have, which is it's all about human events. But the reality is history began in Genesis 1:1, when God created the heavens and the earth. And He then goes and unfolds the events in Genesis 1 and 2 that are really were the foundation and formation of history. And in that is human beings who were created in His image, human beings who were given a mission to be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it. And that truly is what history is about. And ever since the fall of man, his rejection of that mission, God has been in the process of saving humankind and saving the earth, because all of that was wrecked by the fall and needs saving. And we can see that. We know that. It's not hard to spot. And so the stream of history that we are in, it's so important for us to understand it, is the stream of God's saving act, His salvation history. And we're all part of it, whether you're participating or you're not. But if you want to participate in it, Romans 12, 1 and 2 is how we are going to do that. And we have to cast off this idea that we're participating in human history, and that what's really important are the things around us in the realm of economics and politics and sports and, health and whatever. All the things that, we're certainly part of in our lives, but that is not what is really crucial. What's crucial is for us to understand we're part of that story that God has been acting out, playing out, and purposing for thousands of years. And of course, the pivot point of that history was when Jesus Christ came along, and He made this amazing statement in John 12. He said, "If I be lifted up, I will draw all people to me." And so He was that pivot point. He was lifted up, and He was resurrected from the dead. He was lifted up on the cross. He gave His life for all humankind, and He beckoned everybody to come unto Him, and He drew all people to Him. He made the once and for all sacrifice for all humankind, and now it's up to us to participate in it. We start with, by faith, believing that God is, and believing that He's a rewarder of them who seek Him, and in our seeking of God, we are going to find Christ, because you can't get to God except through Christ. But after we are a believer, then we are to present and offer our very common and ordinary lives to Him, so that He can take those lives and make them extraordinary. And that is how we must see all of life. What is really going on is this saving act of history. And now you're a participant in it. You are part of salvation. And your life can become part of that saving work of God and distributed for the betterment of others, if we will not conform ourselves to this world, but be renewed, be transformed by renewing our mind. Now, the renewing of our mind means it has to take on new thoughts, new ideas. Our will, which is the kind of the quintessential thing here, is what will we do? What do we choose to do? The Lord's Prayer, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Well, on earth, the will that I have control over is my own. And that will is directed by what I think and what I feel. It's as simple as that. The will is captive to my thoughts and to my feelings. And so what am I going to think? Well, one thing I want to think is I am part of history here. I'm part of the saving work of God. I'm part of a whole stream of history, and I'm now embedded in that stream, and I'm participating in it. So that's one thing, but I also then want to get it really personal, really specific. Like, what is it, God, that you would have me do? Show me that. And the good thing here is we're not left to just figure that out with our own human logic. We're not left alone in this. Jesus Christ said that, it's great that he's going to the Father. When he goes to the Father, he's going to send the Spirit. The Spirit is going to guide us into all truth. It will take of mine and show it unto you. So his promise was, I am going to show you those renewed ideas, those new ideas, that truth that is going to take your mind and put it in a position where then it can allow God to transform your very soul. And so those new truths, those truths that God, through Christ, will give to us, it comes through the Spirit. So the Spirit is what gives us this ability to, yes, now understand we're part of salvation, we're part of his story, and now personally and really in my local life here, my thoughts can be newed up and renewed through the Spirit that is in me. It says in 1 Corinthians 2 that we have the mind of Christ. Isn't that awesome? That part of that spiritual package we have, part of what comes with access to the Spirit, is that we actually have Christ coaching us to understand spiritual truths. It says in that same chapter in 1 Corinthians 2 that we are not learning words that are human wisdom, that they are spiritual words impregnated with spiritual truths, and we learn and understand them by the Spirit. All of that is part of God's saving plan, which he did in Christ, and now we're the beneficiaries of that. So for us to enter into offering our lives to Christ so that he can take and bless them and distribute them, and so that we can really participate in the salvation, we have to do these two actions. We have to put off the old ideas of the world and don't see ourselves as participating in all the things that so many other people want to see themselves participate in. All of the loud noises and the loud voices that are around us all the time, particularly in our modern age, where you just can't get away from it, right? So we put that off, and we're not going to be molded by that. Instead, we're going to be transformed because our minds are being renewed through the Spirit of Christ that is in us, that is teaching us the things, the ideas that we're supposed to have so that he can transform our character to be like his. And that is our calling. I mean, that is really, when God says that we are masterpieces in Ephesians, created unto good works, that is what he has foreordained us to have these kinds of lives where our lives are broken bread for people. And he says, you're a masterpiece, poema. You are a line in a poem. You are a stanza in music. You're a verse in a song. Your life will bring beauty and goodness to this world as it is being transformed by the hand of God. And that is the invitation. That is what we have been called to. That is what we've been blessed with. And that is God's prayer for us, that the eyes of our heart would be enlightened, that we know what is the hope of his calling, what the riches of the glory of his inheritance in the saints, and what is the exceeding greatness of his power toward us who believe. And that is the calling that we have, and we can enter into it very simply by simply putting off and being conformed to this world and allow the Spirit of Christ in us to teach us the things we need to know so that we become more like him. God bless you.